everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel, and today I have the amazing award-winning Rachel Bigsby, a wildlife photographer, with us today. Welcome, and thank you so much for having us
Thank
here.
you for having me.
That's all right. So I'm going to start with, how does someone get to be a seabird expert?
Oh, it's a great question. Lots of research and lots of passion. You can be an expert in any species if you're really passionate about it. I accidentally discovered seabirds one day. I used to be a landscape photographer until an unfamiliar bird caught my eye. This bird is a northern fulmar, which is a relative of albatross. Actually, the word fulmar comes from Old Norse for foul gull, and that refers to this really foul-smelling stomach oil that they spit as a defense mechanism. But other than that, they are incredible birds.
The way you're talking about it, I can't even imagine it being a foul-smelling. You're so excited about it.
So beautiful. Yeah. I love them, and they introduced me to seabirds, and then you go on this journey of discovering puffins and gannets and skewers and razorbills and all of the other species we have in the UK, because it's internationally important for breeding seabirds here in the British Isles. We've got the world's largest colony of northern gannets, the world's largest colony of black shearwaters, and so many other things. So it's a really great place to get passionate about seabirds.
Amazing. But I'm a photographer, and the subject of having a niche is always like a very, topical discussion. How do you find that niche? And weren't you scared that you wouldn't find work, especially with, it's my first time sitting with someone who's a seabird expert. How do you find that space and that niche for yourself?
It's such a good question, because of course when you're starting out and you're trying to develop a career, you're having to think outside the box and think what's going to be commercial, what's popular, what will people want to do a workshop on. And so many people told me that I needed to diversify the species I was working with. Lots of people would say you need to do the big five in Africa, tigers in India, bears, you need to do underwater, you need to do it all. And the truth is I just can't, because I'm not passionate about it. And I try to understand it myself, and I'm not quite there yet, but I'm not a bird watcher. And in some ways, I'm not really a wildlife photographer. I love seabirds, and I just use my camera as a tool to somehow capture that emotion and that relationship and almost document it as a diary for my life, because there are amazing moments in my life when I get to spend with these seabirds. And really, it's taken a few years to get to the point where I can say it, but I'm so pleased that I stuck with my gut and I just stayed authentic, and I only focused on seabirds, because while that could have been a really risky move, fortunately now I'm lucky enough to have a reputation for seabirds, and that means, when people contact me for work, whether it's podcasts or magazines or assignments, if it's seabird related, generally people get in touch with me, and that makes me so pleased, because my career could be vastly different. I'm sure I would still enjoy the wildlife photography, but being able to earn a living from doing something that I genuinely love with all my heart makes such a difference.
And not only are you earning a living, but you're also winning awards.
Yes.
And you've just received 2 awards?
I have. So I'm the current winner of Natural Artistry in Wildlife Photographer of the Year. Amazing. And also the current portfolio winner in Bird Photographer of the Year. So 2 big titles this year. Thank you.
Really love that for you.
Thank you.
Talking about kits, what's in your bag?
In my bag, Nikon Z9. I'm a Nikon creator, so of course the Z9 comes everywhere with me. My go-to lens is the Z600mm f4 with a built-in teleconverter. But having said that, I feel like I've outgrown the length of that lens, and I'm actually looking to scale down this year and include more environment in my image and a little bit more creative freedom. So I think my new go-to is going to be the Z400mm 2.8. It's also got a built-in teleconverter, because I do find the 600mm great, especially when I'm working with polar bears and they're quite distant, or smaller seabirds like storm petrels. But having the 2.8, trying to get some more bokeh. But I love the 70-200, and I carry that with me everywhere, because luckily working with polar bears, penguins, puffins, they live in really beautiful places. So you need to capture that environment when you're photographing, not just portraits.
Oh, great. And what was your first camera, out of curiosity?
My first camera was a Nikon D3300.
Oh, wow.
I remember it vividly. I loved photography. I left school. I went immediately into employment. I didn't study photography at college or university or anything like that. And with my first job, I saved every penny. On Christmas Eve, my boss let me go about half an hour before the shops shut, and I ran over to the shop opposite and I picked up this D3300, and that was exactly 10 years ago last Christmas. So
amazing.
Almost 10 and a half, 12 and a half, 10 years and a few months in.
And well, I hope it gives someone some inspiration that you can start small.
Oh, absolutely. And really, that's the best way to do it. You can overcomplicate it by going in too far. And I would never want people to be frightened of wildlife photography because of the kit and the technology, because I don't approach photography from a technical point of view, and I have no issue saying that. And I'm really not a good person to start talking to about all of the nitty-gritty technical things within a camera.
Yeah.
I know what I need to do to create an image, and it took me a long time to learn that, especially transitioning from aperture priority to manual mode. It's a lot to get your head around the ISO and the shutter speeds and things, but really it's just fueled by creativity and passion. And I also had a bridge camera and an iPod is where I started off. And if you've got that vision in your head and you're able to experiment with angles and think outside the box, and as long as you can get the basics of your settings right, it's a really good place to start.
Amazing. So many gems and tips for aspiring photographers and people who want to be award winners just like you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming to our channel. Thank you so much for coming to our channel. And we'll follow you and all your successes following this.
Thank you. It's so good. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much, guys, for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. See you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment in the comment section. Bye.
Bye.